Hey everybody, it's great to meet you all and really appreciate you guys coming out. Today I'm going to be talking about SWIG, Smart Wallet Engineering for Efficiency. My name is Liam. There we go. So I'm Liam. I'm Liam Dig on X and Telegram if you guys want to reach out at any point and get in touch about SWIG, Anagram, anything else. And my role is to be a builder at Anagram. Now, what is Anagram? Really quickly, Anagram is a crypto holding company really focused on investing, advising, and building. So we're not just investing in founders, but we're actually building alongside founders. We're building tools and products that support our portfolio companies, that support other projects that we've incubated. And SWIG is a perfect example of this, as we actually built this to solve the needs of some of our portfolio companies and a project that we incubated and spun out earlier this year called Glider. Before joining Anagram, I got my start in crypto through an organization called Blockchain at Berkeley. The best thing that came out of that was I got into crypto. I then joined a company called PayPal to work on stablecoins, where the best thing that came out of that was I got to work with Raj and Anatoly and the broader Solana team on the beginnings of PiUSD. After that, I went over to the Cosmos ecosystem, and the best thing that came out of that wasn't the Cosmos ecosystem, but that I actually got to work with the Anagram team. We're one of the first portfolio companies of Anagram, and really, really grateful for their support, and grateful to be a part of their team now. And then finally, before joining Anagram, I went to Le Cordon Bleu in Paris, where I learned to be a cook. And the best thing that came out of that was candidly just the food all day, every day. But enough about me, let's talk about wallets. So wallets, as we all know, really start with the basics of an EOA. You download your Phantom wallet, you get a seed phrase or a private key, you have to store that, you have to custody that. It's kind of a pain, But more and more we've seen, these wallet apps that make it easier and easier to kind of abstract some of these more complex interactions and make it easier to operate on-chain. Well, today we're really trying to focus on the next evolution of wallets, which is smart wallets, making it really, really easy for programmable money movements, since that, after all, is kind of the overall thesis for the crypto ecosystem. And of course, why on Solana, besides the fact that Solana is just a great place to build? Well, one, we've got an account-based architecture. And so an account-based architecture makes it really, really easy for us to manage ownership and permissions. We've got composability with kind of the broader DeFi and NFT ecosystem. And so as we're trading value across all these applications and these primitives, we can do so easily within these wallets. And then we've got, really great transaction speed and cost. And so we're able to move money very, very quickly. And so as we think about more programmable money movements, we can do a lot of transactions over a short period of time because of this high transaction throughput. And finally, we've got programmability there too. We can, of course, create these applications on top. So now let's get into the details of SWIG. So SWIG is a programmable smart wallet protocol designed for advanced authorization, performance, and above all, efficiency. And we really, really set out to create the most efficient smart wallet interface to make it possible for you guys as developers and app builders to build this into your application without having to make sacrifices. So we enable programmable smart wallets, role-based permission systems, where we can let other people spend a certain amount from this wallet on any given basis. We can do fine-grained actions. We actually built our own virtual machine within the SWIG so that you can create your own programs that are more complex than just saying XYZ person can spend from this. We can go even beyond that. We can introduce sub-accounts. So as we talk to a lot of payment providers, they want like a checking account and a savings account type product for their customers without having to spin up multiple wallets, and we can do that all within one SWIG. Or when we talk to teams like Glider, where they're making it really easy to automate rebalances of your crypto portfolio, they don't have to create individual wallets for every single portfolio. They can just create sub-accounts for each of these portfolios. We've got authentication methods, so you're not limited to just authenticating with an EOA, because of course we're trying to replace EOAs. So you can just layer on Google Auth, SMS Auth, or an embedded wallet solution like a Para on top. And then, of course, this is what the talk is all about, is we're making this really, really extremely efficient. And so as of now, we are only 1,300 CUs overhead for a Solana transfer and about 2,500 CU overhead for an SPL transfer. And so we want to make sure that we're not making these transactions significantly more expensive just by introducing smart wallets. Now, as we start to get into the details a little bit more, we've got these authorities, roles, actions, and sub-accounts. And so on the roles and authorities, each wallet can have multiple authorities, each assigned a role. For example, you might have an owner, a manager, and a session key. And so you can have these different participants having control over this wallet. You've also got actions and permissions, so every single role is associated with a list of actions. So I can say XYZ role is only able to interact with certain DeFi protocols. So especially as we talk to AI teams and they're creating certain swarms, they want to have certain permissions that those swarms can interact within. We can have permissions such as which tokens can be allowed list and which actions can take place as well, whether that's staking or transfers or other kinds of actions on chain. And then finally, we've got programmable control. And so not only are we allowing you to be able to sign with a Solana key, but you can also sign with Ethereum keys. And so if you already are building your application on Ethereum and you're trying to bring those users over to the promised land of Solana, you can do so very, very easily without introducing new keys. And then you can also open up session keys, which makes it really, really easy so that you don't have to make the user manually sign transactions every single time. And so, what's really core to kind of the heart of SWIG is this fine-grained permission system. And so we can permission anything, like I said, from SOL to certain token limits. We can do program specific. So say, okay, you can only trade on Jupiter or Vertigo or Drift or any of your favorite applications. Or you can have a fully permissive wallet where you have full control over the interactions in this wallet and you don't have any restrictions. You can also have an authority that, maybe you're the app developer and you want to have permission over your users' wallets, but you don't want to have access to those users' wallets themselves. You can do so easily with SWIG. You can do staking permissions and then, as I mentioned, authority and sub-accounts as well. And so what does this really enable? That's the core of this. So you can do subscription payments, so you can do pull payments, time-based authorizations, hot wallets with programmable wallets, or programmable limits. So if I have a cold wallet, then I can spin this out to a SWIG wallet to be able to do on-chain actions. So we're talking to custodians about that. And then finally, sorry, I skipped one, and then social login with recovery as well, making it really easy so that you're not having to manage these phrases. Now let's talk about the details of how this works. So we're leveraging Pinocchio, zero copy, and just a little bit of magic to make this all happen. And so Pinocchio makes it really lightweight, zero dependency Solana program. And then zero copy is really, really key when we start to talk about account classifications. Because we want to make it really, really easy so that you are not spending unnecessary CUs to be able to send these transactions and to be able to do more complex transactions within a single, or more complex workflows within a single transaction within a SWIG. We also take advantage of instruction compaction. Again, really harping on the fact that we need to make this as simple as possible for you as a developer. So we handle the instruction compaction ourselves so that you don't have to worry about any of this yourself. And so we try to abstract as much of the complexity away of using SWIG as possible so that you can just focus on creating better user experiences for your users. Now, how do you use SWIG? So we've got a handful of main instructions. You can create a SWIG, you can sign transactions, add and remove authorities or delegates on this SWIG account. You can create session keys, again, making it really easy for your users to interact on the blockchain without having to sign these transactions every time. And finally, you can manage these sub-accounts independently of one another. So each sub-account can have its own permissions, its own limits, its own delegations. Now, we're already starting to work with a handful of teams in development. Today's the first day that we're announcing SWIG publicly. But what's been really exciting is when we tell teams about SWIG, they start to find the use case and the applicability themselves. So we're working with embedded wallets to make it easy to extend their existing MPC solution, as well as custodians that want to do more on-chain actions. We're also working with some large exchanges that want to make it easier as well to unify their exchange services with their separate wallet extension services. We're working with Ethereum projects, like I mentioned, like Glider and MC Squared, to bring those users on Ethereum over to Solana and take advantage of all of the value capture that we have. We're working with teams that make it easy to be able to tap to pay, so you no longer have to worry about off-ramping because the funds in your account that are fully self-custodial are now able to be spent at any merchant of your choice. And we're working with a lot of AI swarms, PayFi, consumer wallets, and more. And so as I wrap this up, there's a few different resources where you can go and learn more. Check us out on Twitter at @onswig. We just open sourced everything in the last 48 hours. So we've got TypeScript examples, we've got our SWIG SDK, and we've got a bunch of really helpful examples as well that we've been building out with Para and some of these other teams to make it easier for you guys to start development. And all of that starts at onswig.com. Finally, I just want to say a quick thank you to a handful of my colleagues. So we've got our chief raccoon, Ostbot, who really was kind of the architect and the mind behind SWIG. He's supported by Tracy, who was regular going to give this talk, and he's a much better speaker than I. But unfortunately, he was not able to make it, so thank you guys for bearing with me. And then finally, I want to give a huge shout out to Turbine and all of our raccoon family that came over from Turbine. They've done a great job in helping us hire and scale out our engineering efforts over the past 6 months. And so Wu, Azam, Nick, Santosh, Zubair, Zish, and Tim have all done a fantastic job of joining us to be able to scale SWIG and some other projects we're working on. Thank you all.